this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
With no fees or minimums on checking accounts, it's no wonder that Capital One Bank Guy is so passionate about banking with Capital One. If he were here, he wouldn't just tell you about no fees or minimums. He'd also tell you about how Capital One cafes are open 7 days a week to assist with your banking needs. Yep, even on weekends. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bankguy. Capital One N.A., member FDIC.
Hey, and welcome to The Short Stuff. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck, and it's just the two of us, just a couple of honchos, couple of hombres, just doing our thing, rattling off facts in a super speedy manner with a limited amount of time. So this is Short Stuff.
So we don't want to waste time with long intros.
Right.
Saying unnecessary things.
Right, exactly.
So the Poe toaster, huh? Is this the beginning of our spooky content?
Yes, it is. If that's okay with you.
Yeah, it's our favorite month.
I love October. I love Halloween. I've been sitting on this one since last year, actually. Have you heard of this guy before?
No.
And obviously, I didn't just ask Chuck, everybody, if he's heard of Edgar Allen Poe. We're talking about a corollary to the Poe legend. Everybody knows about Poe, the master author, the creator of the short story, believed to be the first person to ever write a genuine detective story. Edgar Allan Poe, everybody knows about him. We're not talking about just him.
No, but we are talking about his dead body.
Yeah, which Poe would love.
Oh, he would totally love it. He died, and he probably would even love dying under mysterious circumstances.
There's no way he didn't. He was probably like, as they were dragging him out of the street, he was probably like, this is so great.
Well, he was 40 years old. This was in 1849, and he was buried in Westminster Burying Ground in Baltimore, where he made his home. And it was kind of not a big deal at the time as far as, you know, paying tribute. He had an unmarked grave for a while.
Yeah.
Finally, a relative stepped up and said, can we at least get, you know, his name carved into something?
He just showed up with a stick and carved it in the dirt.
He may have.
Yeah. But he was still fairly obscure enough that he was able to first be buried in that unmarked grave, but some local academics started to recognize the man's genius, and they actually held like an early GoFundMe to create a monument for Poe's grave, actually, and they were successful finally in 1875.
That's right. So they had a monument carved. It was he was actually moved. It was dedicated on a space a little more befitting one of the great authors of his time, and they exhumed him, moved the body. And about 10 years after that, his wife and his mother-in-law were buried along with him, which is sort of key in this story.
Right. And hopefully he wasn't like a Fred Flintstone type where that would have really bothered him to have his mother-in-law so close by for eternity. Instead, I have the feeling that it was a very sweet gesture.
Sure.
So that you would think, well, that's it. That's the most you could possibly say about Poe's remains laying in the ground at a grave. Not true. That was the case from about 1875 to 1849, or 1949, I should say. And then, allegedly, on that year, the centennial of his death, he was visited by somebody who came to be known as the Poe toaster, a mysterious stranger who showed up at his grave on his birth date, January 19th, every year, dressed in an all-black suit, a white scarf, and a big, black, wide-brimmed hat to cover his face, and created this ritual out of whole cloth that eventually attracted the notice of people in Baltimore.
Yeah, so what would happen is this man, presumably, would show up with a bottle of cognac and literally toast Poe and leave 3 red roses along with that bottle. They are not, and this would happen sometime between usually midnight and 6 a.m., so it was even led more to the creepiness of the whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
And no one did anything about it. No one said, hey, grab that guy and let's see who it is.
Let's
rip off that hat and expose him.
Right. It's Roy Cohn.
But So what happened was, well, first of all, we should address the cognac. No one was exactly sure why he toasted with cognac, even though I read very quickly on the internet that Poe loved cognac. It wasn't in his stories. Yeah, he supposedly loved it, but couldn't afford it unless someone else was buying because, he didn't get rich doing this.
Right. So, yeah, a lot of people are like, well, he should be using Amontillado because obviously the cask of Amontillado is one of his great stories. I don't know why he would be using cognac. Apparently, now we do know why. You just solved that mystery for me, Chuck. Thank you.
What about those roses?
So he would leave 3 roses on the grave, like you said, and people have come to believe that that's a gesture to give a rose to each of the people who are buried beneath that monument: Poe, his wife Virginia, and his mother-in-law Maria. So that one's probably the likeliest explanation of that.
Should we take a break?
I think we should. But first, we'll reveal the identity of the Poe toaster after this. How's that for a cliffhanger?
Pretty great.
If you own a home, you already know stuff breaks. It's not if, it's when. And somehow it's always like the AC in July or the fridge right after you go to the grocery store. That's why you always hear people say they don't make appliances like they used to, because it's kind of true.
That's right. Good thing there's American Home Shield. With an AHS home warranty, they can help fix major home systems and appliance breakdowns like your AC, plumbing, or fridge. And if they can't repair your covered item, they'll replace it, no matter how old it is.
And that's huge because fixing an AC can cost a lot. Like, hey kids, our vacation is canceled a lot. Plus, as a benefit to select plans, you can get real-time video help from live repair experts to troubleshoot home hassles at no extra cost.
Listen, everybody, home ownership is already stressful enough. No need to upset your wallet. So check out American Home Shield now and get 20% off any plan at ahs.com/SYSK and see promo details. See ahs.com/contracts for coverage details, including service fees, limitations, and exclusions. American Home Shield. Don't worry, be warranty. Hey everybody, we want to talk to you about The Big Bang Theory. That's a show that became one of the most defining sitcom of its era and really built a fan base around its memorable characters and unique group dynamic.
That's right, which is why we think you'll enjoy the official Big Bang Theory podcast. It's back, covering seasons 3 and 4 of the show. Host Jessica Radloff sits down with crew and cast members like Kunal Nair, who plays Raj, Mayim Bialik, who plays Amy, and Kevin Sussman, who plays Stuart.
That's right. You're going to learn all about the Easter eggs you may have missed, behind-the-scenes stories, and how certain real-life relationships shaped some of the most memorable storylines.
Yeah, there's cast reflections years after the series aired and expanded content around famous episodes and storylines. It is exactly what you're looking for if you're a fan of the Big Bang Theory. The season is on video, so watch the official Big Bang Theory podcast on HBO Max, or listen wherever you get your podcasts, and stream episodes of the Big Bang Theory on HBO Max.
So I totally lied on the cliffhanger. No one knows who the Poe toaster is as far as we can tell, and we certainly don't. So there will be no revealing. We just wanted to keep you tuned in.
Well, I mean, there is one guy who claims he was the Poe toaster. In 2007, a 92-year-old man named Sam Porpora claimed it was him. He was a former ad exec. Mm-hmm. And he, in 1960, was made historian of Westminster Presbyterian Church, mm-hmm. which was apparently in disrepair at the time and kind of just full of people getting drunk and not treating the graves with respect.
You're right.
So he claims he did it as a promotional thing to sort of raise money and publicity, and it was he and his tour guides. This gentleman, Jeff Jerome, who is the curator of the Poe Museum, I think his quote was, "There are holes big enough in his story you could drive a Mack truck through."
Yeah, so
but I couldn't find those holes. I looked everywhere and I couldn't find him specifically saying why he did not think it was him.
Well, so Jeff Jerome has kind of become like the de facto historian of the Poe toaster because he ran the Poe Historical Society for a while, or the Poe Museum, I'm sorry. And a lot of people put a lot of weight into what he says. He claims that he had worked out a signal with the Poe toaster so that the Poe toaster would signal him and let him know that he was the real deal. Because over the years, there were what are known as faux toasters, who pretended to be the Poe toaster after the thing kind of became a big deal, starting in the 70s. So that Jeff Jerome at least would know it was the real article. But he swears up and down, and most people believe him, that he has no idea the actual identity of the Poe toaster. The only interaction he'd had with the Poe toaster is at Poe's grave on these specific nights over the years.
Yeah, and I wonder why Sam Porpora would come forward and claim to be such so late in life. And they even asked him that in this article. Mm-hmm. And he said, like, why he came forward. And he went, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's not a very good. Yeah, that's a big hole in your story right there.
You think?
To not have a motivation. Yeah, if you're somebody who starts out, and here's the thing, like this whole Poe toaster thing became a kind of a cause celeb in Baltimore and places outside of Baltimore. People would show up and there'd be little groups of onlookers who would watch this thing every year. And like you said, very coolly, never tried to find out who it was. They just respected it and watched from a distance. So it kind of became like this cool thing. But this guy was doing this for decades before it became a cool thing. So, of course, there's some sort of motivation behind all of this. And people who do stuff like that have a motivation behind everything they're doing. There's some larger meaning or something to what they're doing. So, yeah, I don't believe the Poe toaster would have come forward just for, I don't know.
Well, I mean, he said why he did it. He didn't say why he came forward and admitted that he was the Poe toaster.
Yeah, I don't buy that guy's story.
Who knows? I buy it.
Okay.
I think it makes sense as a former ad guy. But at any rate, and he was on the scene as well as the historian of the church.
Right.
So anyway, I think I think there's a lot of credence there. But at any rate, the gentleman, whoever it was, would leave these notes occasionally. Mm-hmm. And one note in 93 said, "The torch will be passed."
Just like that. It said in quotes, "to be read in creepy Vincent Price voice when read out loud."
And then in 99, there was one that said the toaster had died. And there was a theory, and I think Jeff Jerome buys the theory that the torch was passed to his sons because they kind of did they were sort of lackadaisical about how spirited they were with their efforts, let's just say.
That was a really diplomatic way to put it. Yeah. Sometimes they would show up in street clothes. And from what I've gathered, like the minimum criteria for being the Poe toaster is that all black suit, white scarf, and huge hat. There's a certain amount of dapperness that needs to be brought to this. And showing up in like jeans and Vans and like a, Counting Crows t-shirt, that doesn't cut it, buddy.
Although the Crows, Counting Ravens, maybe, Baltimore.
I guess I don't know. Maybe.
So one of these notes, though, that supposedly was left by one of the sons, if you buy that theory, was a prediction of the Super Bowl in 2001.
Pretty lame,
that the Giants would beat the Ravens. So if it was his sons, then I totally see how Jeff Jerome would be like, they're not doing a great job.
Exactly. So finally in 2009, I guess that's 20 years, 10 years? Yes, 10. 10 years after the torch was passed, after the original Poe toaster died, allegedly, they just stopped showing up altogether. And they didn't show up in 2010, 11, and then finally in 2012, when they didn't show one more time, Jeff Jerome said, well, I guess I have as much clout as anybody, being the curator of the Poe Museum. I'm going to officially declare this tradition ended forever.
Yeah, but not so. Because he turned on his heels 4 years later and in 2016 said, you know what, let's just throw a big party. We're going to audition Poe toasters. And this is where the story really gets disappointing to me. I wish they would have just let it die. It's this mysterious, weird thing.
Is it the raffle?
Yeah, they have a raffle. They have a Poe-themed cake that you can win. Hundreds of people, they toast apple cider. And I don't mind them honoring Poe, but I think they could have just divided it and not made it part of the Poe toasting thing that came and went.
Yeah. I have to agree. I like that I like the idea of what they're doing. I like the toast with apple cider. I like all, but I think, maybe hold it at the local library or something, because it really smacks of like the kind of event you would hold at a local library.
Yeah, and it's during the daytime. I don't think we mentioned, which, if it's not between midnight and 6 a.m., then just get out of here with that. True,
but it does give the Poe toaster an excuse to do some day drinking of cognac.
That's true.
Once a year at least.
Or apple cider.
Yeah. Supposedly the Poe toaster does drink cognac still in that tradition. Right. Yeah. So did you say that they held auditions for the new Poe toaster?
I did.
And the new Poe toaster plays the violin, though, added a little extra flair?
Yeah, maybe, what's going to happen is they're going to hear about this and then make us honorary Poe toasters, and we're going to be way into it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm going to wear a Counting Crows t-shirt.
And I'll learn to play the violin.
All right. So that's it, everybody. The Poe toaster. This is one of those legends where I hope we never, ever find out who it was, because I think that's wildly appropriate in this case. Okay?
Ad executive.
Well, since Chuck said ad executive, that's the secret word for short stuff to be out.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.